You are listening to Fox Radio 910 or 104.3. Welcome to Let's Talk About, our biweekly program designed for our senior listeners. We feature a variety of guests and topics. Recently, we explored the Widowed Persons Group, the importance of the Convention of States, and the extensive help provided by Roanoke's St. Francis Service Dogs. This outreach to the Roanoke senior community is sponsored by Crowning Touch Senior Moving Services at 6704 Williamson Road in Roanoke. And my name is Linda Ballantyne, founder and CEO of Crowning Touch. We are the only local moving company that focuses on seniors making a move and the only moving company that can write you a check. And how do we do that? Well, we can sell what our clients no longer want in either our consignment shop or our auction house. And then we split the proceeds 50-50, and that money helps offset the cost of a move. In fact, our browse and bid auction is going on right this very minute and features over 1,800 lots. You can bid online or in-house, right out there at 6712 Williamson Road. And there is no auctioneer in our hybridized auction system, which makes it extremely convenient to browse and place a bid when you feel like it, until 8 o'clock on Saturday night. And then the auction ends. And then we allow 3 days for pickup. So to register and see pictures of everything being auctioned off right now, you can go to crowningtouchusa.com. And of course, if you need a moving estimate, call Anna at 540-982-5800. So I am very, very excited about our topic today because I have learned so much about hospice, and now we're going to share that with you. We have a guest for today, Aaron Housh, the CEO of Good Samaritan Hospice. And I invited Aaron to join us to explain a little bit of the history of Good Sam and all of its many facets. So thank you, Aaron, for coming to be our guest today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'd like you to share a little bit about yourself, Aaron. You've been there, you've been there a while, but you've had a long history in hospice. So why don't you share the route that you took to Roanoke?
Sure. Thanks so much for having us. I think these topics are so important.
Yeah.
I had the unique privilege when I graduated from college of looking for a job. I had planned to go to graduate school and I needed to work for about a year. And I opened up the newspaper. This is over 20 years ago, 2 decades ago, opened up the newspaper, and the local community-based nonprofit hospice had a job opening to help direct their volunteer program.
Wow.
So I applied for the job, and actually 2 days later started that next Monday, and that really started my career.
It locked you in, didn't it?
It locked me in, and I had no intention. I didn't think that's where my life, I was a young kid, right? And I didn't think that my life would go that way, but I always say that within probably 7 or 8 months, I had really found my passion.
Wow.
The helping people at this stage of their life.
It's huge.
That everybody will walk one day.
That's correct.
And so I worked there for a number of years as the director of volunteer services and moved into marketing and development. We were building that region's first ever hospice house 20 years ago and got to participate in that, and then moved to Southern West Virginia and worked at Hospice of Southern West Virginia as their chief operating officer, and then eventually to North Carolina, where I was the CEO of a community-based hospice there, and had a mutual connection with the founder of Good Samaritan,
wow,
a lady named Sue Ranson, who is still here and a part of Good Sam. But we had a mutual connection. And so when she decided to retire, that mutual connection connected us with no intention that I would find myself to Roanoke. And then, as things had it, the stars aligned just right and we connected. And I just knew that this was the right place for me to be. So back at the end of 2018, joined the Good Samaritan team.
Well, Roanoke is blessed to have you.
Well, thank you.
Really, Good Sam is blessed, but we are blessed because of what you do with your wonderful team at Good Sam. It's actually very exciting because you've got such a terrific service menu. But before we even launch, why don't you tell us where you are physically, and then because I want people to be able to reach you.
Yeah.
You do have a wonderful website. I'm going to encourage people to go to goodsam.care.
Correct.
CARE.
Mm-hmm.
And your phone number out there is a 540
776-0198.
0198. So as you get intrigued by all the wonderful things that they do, if somebody wants to volunteer or look for a career opportunity out there, you know who to call. But you also have an office. Yeah, tell us where your new office is.
So we just built a new facility and moved over there. So it is at 4751 Cove Road, Northwest, and that's in Roanoke.
Right off of Peters Creek?
It's right at sort of the corner of Peters Creek and Cove Road, just sort of back behind the sheets there on the corner of Peters Creek and Cove. So a wonderful location, very close to
easy to get to.
Easy to get to, close to the interstate. Now, as we talk about the hospice house and some things like that, I'll tell you a little bit more about that.
Okay.
While that was so important to us. But I do want to speak just very quickly.
Yes, please.
I mean, Good Sam was founded in 1992. And as you could say, as I said, by my predecessor, a lady named Sue Ranson. She was our founding nurse.
What a vision she had.
What a vision. And she worked at Good Sam from the time we opened the doors until her retirement at the 2018 when I joined the team. And back in 1992, I mean, truly, there was a small group of people that said, we need to see a community-based hospice that's not only providing hospice care across the region, but also focused on grief and bereavement services to the community.
Right.
So so this group of people literally left their jobs and started Good Sam with no idea what that would lead to, with no guarantee of employment or pay or anything.
It's gutsy. Somebody must be God inspired.
Yeah, yeah. Well, back when we started looking at doing some of these new endeavors that we're doing, I remember calling Sue one day and saying, I'm really nervous. What if?
Uh-huh.
And Sue said to me, she said, we started Good Sam on a leap of faith.
That's correct.
And in order for us to move our services forward, we have to move forward in that same manner. So,
oh, good. She had a courageous and big heart.
She did. And she still works with us.
That's a good example for you.
And she now serves on our board of directors.
How terrific.
Yeah.
But you have an office. Do you have an office in the New River Valley, another space or not?
We do. We have an office in the New River Valley. It is on Moose Drive. So it's just off the second exit, 114 down there. And we did that. Part of our philosophy of care is making sure that after hours, we're able to care for people. Right. So based upon our service area, we like for patients to be 50 miles or 1 hour or less from our office location so that we can be responsive. So as our service area grew, we knew we needed to add another location so that we could serve those patients at the highest level. And so I guess probably about 12 to 15 years ago, we opened up that second location and have been serving patients in the New River Valley since that time.
So many people don't even know what hospice is, and especially until they need it and then try and research it and understand that, I've heard about hospice. Can you explain to us what your mission is at Good Sam and what exactly hospice is, and then maybe even tell us the difference between that and palliative care?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, as the community-based, we're the only community-based nonprofit hospice in the region. And as the community-based nonprofit, we are mission-based, right? And our mission, I'll state our mission, is to affirm life in the midst of illness and grief, and above all, honor what matters most to each person and family served. And so that's really the heart of what we do. Now, we define that, of course, in performing a hospice program and providing hospice care. And hospice care is really, it's just a unique piece of the healthcare system, right? I mean, of course, it is for patients that find themselves at end of life journey. Really someone that has a prognosis of 6 months or less is really eligible for hospice. Mm-hmm. But when you come into that sort of circle of our care, we offer really a holistic approach to care. So we're offering spiritual care, emotional care, nursing care, grief and bereavement support. I mean, we really have a social work support. I mean, we have chaplains on our team. It's just really that holistic approach to care, and we care for the patient and family as that unit of care.
Wow.
So patient is our focus, but also the family is our focus. How do we help them navigate this? And how, as someone sort of walks that journey, how do we also create the best experience with the highest quality, but also as they reach the end of their life, how do we create a good passing from this life to the next?
Well, there's a mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of who qualifies, besides the fact that a legal definition is 6 months, of life post left.
Right.
What other qualifiers are there? I understand. How do they pay for your service.
Yeah. Well, one of the great things about hospice care in this country is that hospice care is reimbursable by Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance.
So that really helps a lot of people.
It helps a lot of people. So if you have Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance, particularly Medicare and Medicaid, they have, in the state of Virginia, have the hospice benefit.
Wow.
So you are eligible if you meet eligibility criteria for payment. And then private insurance, I would say most all private insurance now covers hospice care, but we work that with your insurance company. You know, one of the wonderful things about community-based nonprofit hospice is that we provide care regardless of ability to pay.
Yeah,
so that's a heart of our mission. We do not want anybody's financial situation to impact whether or not they can get good end-of-life care. And so we provide that care regardless of ability to pay. But a lot of our funding does come from Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. The way that works, not all care that we provide is really reimbursable by Medicare and Medicaid. And so that's one reason that you see us in the community asking for support. It's also to make sure that we can cover all the services that we need to provide for a patient that may not be covered by Medicare and Medicaid, but also to help fund those programs so that we can ensure that no matter your ability to pay, that you can still get those services. And we have never in our 32 plus year history turn somebody away because of their inability to pay.
Sort of like a St. Jude's, except our local hospice care.
Yeah.
Does that mean that
one thing I could add on to that,
yes.
Because there's sometimes some confusion when we talk about hospice and palliative care.
Mm-hmm.
Now we do, and back in 2020, we launched a community-based palliative care program. The confusion is that people don't really understand palliative care.
Right.
And in each community, palliative care can look different, it can operate different. So I'm going to tell you what palliative care is for us.
Good, thank you.
Because palliative care, by definition, actually means comfort care. So hospice care is a form of palliative care, right? But for us, we have a palliative care program that operates independent of our hospice care program. And that program is really designed for patients that have serious or advanced illness, but for a number of reasons are not appropriate or ready for hospice. And so our program actually offers a team approach, but it's really ran by nurse practitioners and physician assistants. And they really go and see patients in the place that they call home. Now, I like to call it, because palliative medicine is a specialty, just like cardiology or pulmonology. It is a specialty of medicine. And I like to sort of say our palliative care program is sort of a traveling physician's office. But we are taking our office to wherever a patient is.
So you don't go in necessarily and spend all day. It just might be an hour. It might be a half hour. You're doing checking, and you might spend a couple of hours if they need it. But that's the way that works, right?
It is. And so patients are referred to us for a number of reasons. Sometimes that's pain and symptom management. So a unique thing about palliative care, in hospice care, when a patient elects hospice, they are really electing comfort care. And so the curative treatments and those kind of things that people are pursuing up to that point, they are really saying my focus is now comfort, and I'm not going through curative treatment. So if you have cancer, for example,
yes,
you cannot continue to receive curative cancer treatments and have hospice at the same time. Okay. However, you can have palliative care. And so we partner with a lot of those patients. Maybe they're currently getting chemo, radiation, those kind of things. But if you've ever known someone who's gone through that tough road, the side effects of chemo and radiation are tough.
They level you.
They do level you. And so
down.
We sometimes partner with their physicians and their oncologists to be that second set of eyes. Sometimes we're going in and they're having nausea, vomiting, or pain, and we help manage that. We write scripts for that. Our providers can do that. But they do that in partnership with that person's primary care physician or their oncologist or whoever they're seeing.
That's terrific, especially since the pressure on doctors is their time.
It is.
It's so hard to get a hold of them now. You have to.
Well, and I'll tell you a big difference about our services is that if you go to a physician's office, how long do you get with a physician?
15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes. And the average visit inside of our palliative care program is about an hour.
Wow.
So you're getting face-to-face time for an hour. Now, sometimes that's focused on pain and symptom management. Sometimes it's really focused on goals of care and advanced directives and helping to facilitate to make sure that people have everything that they can to make the best decisions for their health care. I mean, healthcare is hard to navigate.
Yes, it is.
And when you have serious illness and you have all these specialists and you have all these things happening, having someone to help facilitate that's really great. And so our providers do that, but we also offer social work support and spiritual care in that program as well. So if somebody is needing help with things outside sort of medicine and that kind of thing, that we have support for those people as well. So
it spills over into the family too, doesn't it?
Because it does.
The family needs spiritual help. The family needs they're an advocate for the person who's in the bed.
Right.
But you're the link there.
Yeah. And so our palliative team, I mean, we just, that program has just done, I think, amazing things in this community and helping to impact really good outcomes, and has grown and grown and grown, and we continue to add providers to that team. And so we've been really excited. We developed that program because in hospice, we were seeing patients in this community fall through the gaps.
Wow.
They had advanced illness. They were no longer able to get out to see the doctor. And then they become what? Unmanaged.
That's correct.
Right. And so we saw these patients, they would come into hospice, and those last couple of years before they came to hospice, they really had a hard time navigating. They really had a hard time getting their symptoms managed. And when they come to us, they're sometimes in crisis. And so our team and the leadership team and our board at Good Sam said, we want to help create that safety net previous to hospice admission. And so we developed this program. It's completely separate from hospice. And I think it's really making a great impact in the community and those people that are living with advanced illness, and really the struggle day to day of what that means.
Well, that's a lot of heavy lifting. How many employees do you have out there to help you do this? And then how many volunteers do you have?
Yeah, so we currently have about 140 employees that work for Good Sam. We care for about 250 patients in hospice care a day, and we have probably in excess of 300 patients in palliative care. And so we have about 140 employees that are currently supporting those patients, with the vast majority of those being our interdisciplinary team, which is nurses, social workers, chaplains, nurse aides.
Clinical help.
Yeah, it's our clinical help that are taking care of patients at the bedside.
Let's talk about some of those care services that the clinical help provides.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you enumerate some of those? In other words, you've got nursing care, you've got the personal home health care.
Right.
You help with medical equipment and supplies, it looks like?
We do. When a patient is admitted into the hospice program, and so this will explain a little bit, it's in the Medicare world, it's called the Medicare Hospice Benefit. Inside of that, hospice is to provide a large array of services. And so we provide all of our interdisciplinary team, which is we have a medical director, a full-time physician on staff that only takes care of our patients. We have the nurses, social workers, chaplains, nurse aides. All of that is a part of that. But we're also providing medications, the medications that patients and families need, all the DME that's in a home, and really anything that someone needs.
What were those initials? What?
DME, durable medical equipment. Thank you for reminding me to say that aloud. So that is hospital beds, oxygen,
wheelchairs,
bedside commodes, any equipment that someone needs, we also provide that as a part of the hospice care.
And you also do lab and diagnostic testing, which is very convenient because you can draw the blood in the home, right?
We can do all of that in the home and then take that to the lab, and then our physician can look at those results. And, say we're doing that because someone has an infection, or maybe somebody has a UTI, and we're able to get that, look at that. And then our physician, in conjunction with an attending or a primary sometimes, is then quickly getting that medication in the home so that it can be managed.
And if they need transportation, you provide ambulance service? I mean, you arrange for that? That's all.
Yeah, if they need transportation. I mean, if sometimes we have patients that need respite care, for example. So we do provide respite care. So if a family needs some level of respite, we can actually offer about 5 days of respite care.
Wow.
Currently, we contract with partners in this community at skilled nursing facilities, but we do cover that transport to and from those places so that the family can get a break if they need it for a number of reasons. Maybe it's just they're exhausted.
Right.
If you've cared for someone, you understand. But maybe also somebody has their own medical issues and they need a procedure, and we're able to get someone respite. So during that time, they have a safe place to stay.
I want to encourage people to go to goodsam.care again, because you have an incredible list of resources for grief management. Grief resources, you call them. Because you cover all sorts of things, everything, helping yourself heal when someone dies, even when a baby dies, or when a parent dies, and then helping others with grief, how to help a friend, how to pitch in when somebody's seriously ill. It's really quite an incredible list of resources.
A big part of our program and a big part of our heart is making sure that people that are grieving, whether that's during the loss of a loved one or after, get the support that they need. So I will encourage anyone that is struggling. You don't have to be the family of a hospice patient or a previous hospice patient. Our grief and bereavement services are community-wide. Give us a call. And if we can't help you, we can always connect you to the right places. But we have a lot of services. We have bereavement counselors. We have a lot of groups. Just this week, we had Grief Through Music. And so we had, I think we partnered with 5 Points Music Sanctuary, and we did some music through grief, or grief through music. So always doing some unique things, but we also offer community-based counseling as well.
There's even some upcoming events. I just want to mention them because there are groups that meet under the auspices of Good Sam, like Coffee and Conversation on July 23rd at Chris's Coffee and Custard. There's going to be from 10 to 11. I imagine these are people getting together to share some of their experiences that way. Guys, Grief and Grub on August 13th at McAllister's Deli. And then Growing Together Through Grief is another group. So you've got people, it seems like every week, meeting somewhere for anybody that wants to join a group
we
and
do.
get that kind of support.
We do. I mean, because we really care about, it's not just our patient, that's going through end-of-life journey. It's the family that not only lives through it, but lives after it.
That's it.
And I know from my own personal grief and loss, grief is a journey, and it's tough. And the more support you can get around you to help you with that, the more that you're able to move through that and be able to contribute to the world around you like you want to.
You have a special veterans program as well, don't you?
We do. We participate in a national program called We Honor Veterans. And so our staff, are really honed in on that, but we really want to support. Veterans sometimes have unique needs at the end of life, and we want our staff to be able to take care of those and be able to support the needs of veterans at the end of life. So we have internal training, but also internal programs to help serve veterans.
Well, while we still have time, I want to take a few moments because I know the Center for Caring is huge. It was huge to Good Sam. It's huge to our community here. Do you want to explain what you just raised the money for? On June 7th, you had a ribbon cutting. You have opened it up, and now you'll start filling those rooms. But why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me say this. Back in 1992, when Good Sam was founded, a part of our strategic plan, number one was to open a home hospice program. Number two was to be able to take care of pediatric patients. And number three was to build a hospice house. So 32 years later, here we are. So it's really a fulfillment of a long-term dream that really started from day one at Good Sam. And so we just, as you said, on June 7th, we had a ribbon cutting to open the region's first ever freestanding hospice inpatient facility.
A similar facility, you'd have to go out of the state, from what I understand, to
you
find
would.
a similar facility.
A similar facility, the closest,
you call it.
the standalone, the closest ones that we have to us here in Southwest Virginia would be in Beckley, West Virginia, Winston-Salem, or Greensboro, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And we do see people use those places out of state sometimes when they need that level of care. But it had always been a part of our hospice that the goal of hospice is always to keep people at home, right? I mean, that's where people want to be.
That's correct.
However, when home is not an option or home is not the right place, that people can then experience the level of hospice care that we provide in our home.
Right.
And so this really started for me probably on week 2 of joining the hospice team back in 2018. And it actually, I'll tell you a very quick story. Sue had did a retirement article in the Roanoke Times. The last question said, "Do you have any regrets?" And she said, "I regret we didn't build a hospice house."
Oh, wow.
A wonderful community member, Mr. Maury Strauss, called us after reading that. I'd been at work maybe 2 weeks and showed up and said, "Let's make it happen."
Oh, my God.
He ended up being our lead and largest donor. And the house was actually named in honor of his wife, Sheila S. Strauss. And so when we did our ribbon cutting, Mr. Strauss was able to be with us at that time. And
that must have been a moving event. I didn't get to go, and I'm so sorry.
It was a moving event, but we were able to open, at least do a ribbon cutting, and we named it the Sheila S. Strauss Hospice House in memory in honor of his wife, who was actually under the care of Good Sam back in 2016 at the end of her life. And this facility is just unique, and it's really just a blessing to this community. I like to tell people, I mean, we are this community's hospice. As the only community-based nonprofit, we are this community's hospice. And so we invest our resources back into this community. And 5 years ago, we started this process to say we want to build this hospice house. So we have 16 beds at 4751 Cove Road. We are not open to take patients. We're going through the licensing process currently, but we will offer multi-levels of care. We'll offer general inpatient care, which is really a patient that needs a higher level of hospice care. We'll offer respite care.
Because some people may not be able to go home. So you're offering them a home-like environment.
Right.
They might just be coming out of the hospital.
Right.
They might have been diagnosed with some tragic condition. And you're going to take them because the family can't take them.
Right. And we'll have, staff around the clock. We'll have our medical director that will be there and doing rounds every day. It's just a really unique kind of care that we see patients and families across this region that need it every day. And we're just blessed that we are able to be able to provide that level of care and invest our resources. And that's why we started a capital campaign a few years ago to say, we want to do this, but we need the community's investment.
Sure.
Our goal was to raise $5 million in that capital campaign. We haven't completely reached our mark yet, and we're still fundraising for that. We invite people, particularly people previous to opening, to come and see the facility. It's really unlike anything that you probably have ever seen in healthcare. It's just designed to take care of patients at the end of life.
Well, they're community areas too.
Yeah.
In other words, you can leave your room and meet your family. There's a kitchen to,
We designed it to look and feel like home as possible. So we have a kitchen area, a dining area, a living room, an outdoor courtyard, just where families can be together and use the spaces they need. It really is unique. But like I said, we're still in that capital campaign, and hopefully over the next few months we'll complete that capital campaign of $5 million. And I think we're very confident we'll make it.
Can they donate online?
They
can. Go to goodsam.care?
Go to goodsam.care. You can scroll there right on the front. It says donate now. You can click there and you can make it for the capital campaign or the hospice house, Sheila S. Strauss Hospice House. And we would love to have that support, but we'd also we love to share this with our community because this is this community's hospice house. Right. And I think when you walk in and you see it, you get it.
Would it be an imposition if someone is really, really interested, either because they think they might have an imminent need or just because they might want to donate it? Would it be an imposition for them to go on up there and take a look now? Is it possible to?
Yeah, we have people that stop. I always ask people, to give us a call just so we can be ready and prepared. We're not open on that side.
You don't have staff to give tours now, but you're willing to accommodate somebody.
Our offices are up there, so somebody is there all the time. If somebody wants to do that, that's more than okay. But it'd be great if they called us and said, hey, we'd love to see the facility. Can we schedule a time to come up just to make sure we have somebody available? Because we do have our administrative and our home care offices on that campus. So somebody's
lucky,
there.
They might even get you.
Well, I would love
coffee, taking a break.
I would love to do that. We are just so proud of this facility.
Look at the culmination of all of those years since 92, for gosh sakes.
Yeah, I remember at the ribbon cutting, I had made this statement. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I said, here we are. It was like 11,647 days later. It took us to get to this place to open this hospice house. I think it's important to know we'll always be home-based care, but when that isn't possible, we now have this new option.
Let me ask you, are there any particular programs, especially in need, that our listening audience might feel like they might contribute to? I understand that if they have other talents, they need to call you, you know?
Well, we are always looking for staff members, if you're a nurse aide, social worker, we have positions open and would love to talk to you. The other thing is volunteer. We need volunteers. We have 80 plus volunteers that support our families, but if anybody would like to volunteer, time, talent, we would welcome them.
Well, it's already time to say goodbye. I really want to thank you, Aaron. This has been so insightful, and you shared so much important information about Good Sam and the many services you offer. I want to remind everyone to please join us again at noon on July 26th for another edition of Let's Talk About, sponsored by Crowning Touch Senior Moving Services. Don't forget to check out our consignment shop and our auction at 6712 going on today. We've got lots of tools, appliances, outdoor and indoor furniture, toys, lots of art, jewelry, kitchen and dishware, and books, and so much more. And thanks again on behalf of Roanoke seniors to Fox Radio 910 and 104.3. Have a wonderful day. If you have never been to the Crowning Touch Browse and Bid auction, held once a month at 6712 Williamson Road, get ready. This Thursday through Saturday, July 11th through the 13th, you can register and place your bids from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. Bid in-house or bid from home on over 1,500 items, including jewelry, furniture, tools, antiques and collectibles, appliances, art, and more. For more info, call 540-982-5800 or visit them online at crowningtouchusa.com.